Good morning, Standard 10th. So in the last class, we studied about sectors of the Indian economy on the basis of employment conditions, that is organized and unorganized sector. And today we will study that how workers in the unorganized sector can be protected. We will also study about the different sectors of the economy on the basis of ownership. Students, in the last class, you all got a question for your assignment in which you had to write at least 5 points of differences between organized and unorganized sector. I hope you all have written your answer, and today's class we'll start with the discussion of the answer of that question. So let us start. So students, I have written few points of differences here. We have discussed all these points in our last class. So let's quickly go through these points. Okay, so the first point of difference is that organized sector is under the control of government, whereas unorganized sector is not. Also, in organized sector, formal process of appointment and removal of employees is followed. Students, we did discuss about appointment letter, whereas no such process is followed in the unorganized sector. Second point, government rules are followed in the organized sector and these rules are not followed in unorganized sector. Students, rules are there, but then those rules are not followed. Point number 3, in the organized sector, workers have job security. Students, we studied that employees in this sector cannot be asked to leave any time. They must be pre-informed. Whereas in the unorganized sector, no job security is there. Point number 4, working hours are fixed in organized sector and it is not fixed in unorganized sector. Point number 5, if workers are working for more than the specified time in organized sector, then they will be paid for that. And in unorganized sector, workers are not paid for working overtime. Now the last point, point number 7, employees in the organized sector get different types of allowances and facilities, whereas there are no such provisions in the unorganized sector. All that the workers of this sector get is their wages. Students, in the last class, I did not tell you all the meaning of the term gratuity. So in simple terms, we can say that this means bonus that employees of organized sector get, and such provisions are not there for the employees in the unorganized sector. Now students, apart from these points, if you have written anything extra or if you have doubt in any of the points that you have written and you want it to be checked, then you can text me on Campus Care. Students, we all know that jobs in the organized sector are in demand. But the number of jobs in this sector have been expanding very slowly. And it is also common to find many organized sector firms working as unorganized sector. Why? So that they can evade from paying taxes, or so that they don't have to give all the facilities to its employees or workers. There are many firms or enterprises that are registered by the government, but then they don't follow its rules and may not give all the facilities to its employees. Students, people are forced to enter the unorganized sector because of lack of jobs in the organized sector. And the jobs in our unorganized sector pay them very low salary and also doesn't give any job security or any other benefits. Students, these people do need protection and support. So first, let us see that who are these vulnerable people who need to be supported. So students, in your textbook, the workers of the unorganized sector are classified as, number 1, those who work in rural areas such as blacksmiths, sharecroppers, or small and marginal farmers, landless agricultural laborers, etc. Number 2, those who work in urban areas such as rag pickers, street hawkers, or small scale industries, or casual workers engaged in some construction work. And students, apart from these two, there are also workers from the scheduled castes and scheduled tribes who work in the unorganized sector, and these people need to be protected. So students, we studied about 3 different groups in which the workers of unorganized sector are categorized. Now we will study how they can be protected. So number 1, we will talk about rural areas. Students, nearly 80% of rural households belong to small and marginal farmer category. These farmers need to be supported with timely delivery of seeds, proper storage facilities, proper credit facilities, and through other inputs, so that they can increase their production and can have a better income. Number 2 is about workers of unorganized sector in urban areas. And in this point, we will talk about small scale industries owners. So students, just like small and marginal farmers, they also need to be protected. And it can be done through proper supply of raw materials and market for their outputs. Number 3 is about workers belonging to scheduled caste and scheduled tribes. Now students, apart from getting low wages, they also face social discrimination. So they don't only need economic development, but they need social development as well. They can be protected by not practicing untouchability or by giving them equal access to different public facilities. Students, apart from all these points, there are other ways too through which workers of unorganized sector can be protected, such as government can fix their minimum wages and working hours. Also, these workers can be provided with cheap loans. Students, government can also provide cheap and affordable basic services like education, health, food to these workers. And laws can be framed which can provide provision for overtime, paid leaves, or leave due to sickness. So students, we have studied about the sectors of the economy on the basis of economic activities, that is primary, secondary, and tertiary sector. We have also studied about the sectors of economy on the basis of employment conditions, that is organized and unorganized sector. Now we will study about the sectors of the economy on the basis of ownership. So students, on this basis, the economy is divided into 2 sectors, that is private and public sector. So in the public sector, the government owns most of the assets and provides all the services, whereas in the private sector, ownership of assets and delivery of services is in the hands of private individual or companies. Main motive of the private sector is to earn profits, whereas the main motive of public sector is social welfare. Also, private sector services are comparatively expensive and public sector services are cheaper as compared to that of private sector. Students, few examples of public sector include railways and post office, and example of private sector includes Tata Iron and Steel Company or Reliance Industry. Students, remember one thing. While writing examples of public and private sector, please don't write government school for public sector and private school for private sector. Students, you need to be specific, and so you will write the name of different firms belonging to these sectors. Students, for your assignment, you will do exercise question number 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 in your textbook. So that's all for today's class. Thank you, students.